was The Skin Game. Yeah, Alfred Hitchcock was becoming frustrated with the number of stage play adaptations he was having to turn into movies. And this signals the beginning of the end of his relationship with British International Pictures. In fact, he'll only make 2 more movies with BIP, next week's movie and the movie after that, Number 17. The movie's called Number 17. This is a good thing. Good things happen once he moved on. Trust us. Hitchcock did call John Galsworthy one of a big influence on his style, and certainly we saw some Hitchcockian themes in this play. We saw some blackmail. We saw a deep, stark secret. We saw the strong matriarch character, and we saw a suicide or an attempted suicide. In the book, it was clear that Chloe made it. She didn't die. She was going to be okay. I thought that was left rather vague in the book, rather here in the movie, as to whether she was dead or not. She looked pretty lifeless in her husband's arms. And I love when the mother says, "Jill, get the brandy," like there's some kind of all-powerful curing medicinal purpose to the brandy. But yeah, that was left. And did you notice that Chloe's husband, Charlie, was John Longden? He played Detective Frank Weber in Blackmail. Blackmail, right? Yeah. So, anyways, the quote by Hitchcock regarding this movie was, "I didn't make it by choice, and there isn't much to say about it." So we're not going to say too much about it either. This he considered this the low point of his career. So good. He was actually visibly bored during the filming of this. What could he do? There wasn't any neat dialogue. There wasn't any humor he can inject in it. There was very little cinema. There was some cinema put in. You know, with that shot where we think we're looking at the meadow, we think we're looking at the piece of land, and we come back and it's just a picture of it, and then within that scene there's a big long panning scene. We'll see some long panning scenes that go somewhere and reveal some things. This was not that. The auction scene was interesting. Certainly that was a little bit of cinema. Might make one of our viewers seasick when she watches it. You know who you are. But you know, very little to do with. We were straining to hear the audio. We've seen this before. It really was impossible to see this. Certainly if there was, you know, having read the play, the dialogue is actually pretty clever. I still couldn't hear most of it, so subtitles would have been ideal. And we just didn't have that. They probably will be in. Do you think they'll ever redo this movie? Can you ever? Maybe it costs a lot of money to refurbish these movies, so I don't know if that'll ever happen. The New York Times, a New York Times critic at the time, wrote, "Mr. Hitchcock's imagination is never particularly keen during this production. Now and then the director has a fairly good idea, but it is never brilliant." I agree with that. You know, what can you say? It just wasn't that good. So definitely not something we'd recommend for non-Hitchcock fans. Wouldn't even recommend it for Hitchcock fans, just for people who want to watch all these movies with us. So yeah, that's pretty much all we had to say about it. You know, this 1931 wasn't a good year at all for movies. Certainly not then and not now. It was considered even a few years after as an extremely weak year for movies. As far as the Oscar movies went, the best picture that year was Cimarron. It's tough to watch. You know, it was remade, of course. A bunch of the movies that were up for Best Picture that year, and Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, Skippy. Skippy's not very good. It's not a very good movie. Boy, one good movie from 1931 though. Once again, Mr. Charlie Chaplin in City Lights. That's hilarious. Lots of people. I think it was Orson Welles called City Lights his favorite movie, so definitely worth seeing if you've not seen City Lights before. So I would have appreciated a blonde in this. Just it would have been nice to separate Chloe from Jill, because just wasn't easy to tell those two apart. And right, the character who played Jill at the time was married to Laurence Olivier, who later became Sir Laurence Olivier. We'll see him in a movie called Rebecca, which is actually a good movie. So very good. I think that's it. Short and sweet. So that's one good thing about this. So next week we'll be back at it with movie number 9, Rich and Strange, from 1931 as well. So until, is that right? Yeah. So until then, from our couch to yours, we'll see you next week.